hormones. So typically, if you're talking clean protein like steak, you know, chicken, fish, typically not. No, typically not. Now, if they're eating more calories and they're working out a lot, that can make their body make more androgens, right? Which then may bring on acne on the face at first, because when women work out, they make more androgens. And that might be giving them more cystic-based acne. But animal-based protein, by and large, is one of the lowest, has one of the lowest chances of all foods of creating acne or acne-related issues or rashes or hiving. So, no, but that's a great question, brother. I'm glad you asked. Selena on Instagram, she says, "Hi, Vince. Hey, I'm on the flush. When I take OptiPure, my blood sugars are spiking up to 135s and running high, fasted as well. Should I work through it and wait for the numbers to come down?" Absolutely, Selena. Your blood sugars are high because your body's working really hard. Okay? You're detoxing, so it's pro-inflammatory at first. So your sugars are going to go up, and we kind of want that. Make sure you're adding more Canabactin BR, which has the berberine in it as well. Taking that maybe every 3 hours could really help. Make sure you're sleeping a lot and you're not, again, keep it to walking and don't be training a bunch. Keep it to walking and don't be training a bunch. Oh, we're killing it over here on TikTok. Lacey says, can taking insulin cause you to go into perimenopause early? It certainly can, because it can be pro-inflammatory. Yes, it can. It's, again, it depends what your body weight's at, right? Also, just inflammation in general, if it's blocking estrogen, 100%. Inflammation in general can help people go into perimenopause early, 100%. So I really recommend a product if you're taking insulin right now for diabetes that helps it a lot. It's called Insinase. It's made by Metagenics, and I would take 1-3 times a day. I would also really consider, if you're on insulin, that you can lower your insulin dose by combining it with semaglutide. I think it would really help, if I'm being honest. I like combos for people that are true diabetics of GLP-1s and insulin. So the lower that you can get your insulin dose, the longer your lifespan is going to be and the less your inflammation and greater vitality. We get people at Vital Coaching off insulin all the time. So if you ever want to really try to take it on head on and see if you can get out of that. Now, if you're type 1 diabetic, that's a little bit something different, but we can still do a lot to reduce your dosing of insulin. Pam, do you agree that ashwagandha helps blood sugar? Pam, I'll say this. Ashwagandha has been shown in research to have a healthy effect on blood sugars, but no, I would not call it a blood sugar product, right? No, I would not. But yes, it helps your stress hormone, and that can help you be more insulin sensitive. It can be slightly anti-inflammatory. So yeah, Pam, I do like it. So you know what? I like my TikTok folk are doing good. Pamela, I'm going to go ahead and hook you up. I'm going to give you some ashwagandha in my amazing formula called Cordy's that just has revolutionized stress. You want to feel amazing. You don't want stress to bother you too much. You want to sleep better. You want to be able to think better in the clutch. Cordy's, it's absolutely incredible. I'm going to go ahead and send that to you along with our my B12 folate liposomal. It's really important if you want to help. I think if you want to help maximize your metabolic rate, you want to work on methylation of folic acid and the processing of B12. Foundationally, that's the most two important B vitamins in our body. And so I'm going to give you both of those on the house from New Ethics. Thank you, Pam, for being loud and proud in the chat. Andrew says, love Cordy's. My man, I know Cordy's is great, isn't it? All right, let's keep it moving. We're going to go ahead and go to one of our questions from the chat. Go ahead and pull that up, Producer Keone. Let's go to lipedema. All right, Alexandra says, lipedema seems more and more women are suffering. Why? Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm glad you guys came on here because I'm about to explain what I've been talking about, what I feared all the way back in 2020, starting, early 2020 when we started hearing about the coronavirus. it's becoming more and more apparent every single day that the long-term effects of both, taking the vaccine and just getting COVID in general, has strong chance of causing immunological issues in men and women, primarily in women. That's why 80% of long hauler COVID sufferers are women. Take a look at this graph here, though. This is the incidence of autoimmune disorders following 2020. You guys can take a look at this graph here. You take a look at this. Look at this graph. This is a graph showing 1 year after people getting COVID-19 with getting an autoimmune disorder immediately following. And so the numbers are staggering, right? We're seeing autoimmune disorders at all-time rates. And this is because the spike protein, one, but also COVID in general, is triggering people's adaptive immune systems to make irregular cells. So let me explain a little bit about what is going on and why you guys should be aware and be on the lookout, particularly, especially for women. We're seeing this in droves. That's interesting. I didn't expect it to do that. So let me you guys show you this real quick. So this is, I want you something that's called immunosenescence. Immunosenescence. I ran it. It's a little long there. All right, let me try this again. We'll try another word for it. Maybe that'll help. It's called IMID, right? Which stands for immune mediated inflammatory disease. I did it again. I will learn my lesson, team. All right. I'm still learning how to write on this thing so you guys can see it. So what happens is, I want you to imagine a bunch of cells inside the body. Okay? Those are all cells in the body. And some of these cells are going to be listed in blue. These are immune cells. These are immune cells, okay? Now, let's say you have a new virus that your body hasn't seen, right? And it triggers the system, right? Okay, what happens is if you get a cytokine storm and there's a lot of inflammation, that happens. This marker does not work. I apologize. We'll use this marker. If you get a lot of inflammation, think of inflammation as heat, right? What happens is these immune cells get active, very active, okay? And when they get active, they cause a bunch of inflammation. It creates heat. I want you to think of heat. Heat, I can't really draw fires, but just think of heat, okay? This will damage certain cells in the cytokine storm. And then once the fight is over and the illness is gone, these cells go away. Immune cells get cleaned out of the body. So those cells go away. But what you're left with is cells that were damaged in the fight. Right? Okay? These cells are called zombie cells. Zombie or senescent cells. These cells now sit in the body causing inflammation, causing havoc, and can cause autoimmune disorders. So that's a lot of what happens when people get like Epstein-Barr or Lyme or EBV, switch it up, or EBV. And COVID is doing it in unprecedented rates. And it's called immunosenescence. And so women that have these cells that sit in their body that their immune system cannot get to, the body starts to attack itself in response. And that's why we're seeing rashes. Can fasting help to clear these through autophagy? Exactly, Casey. But most people cannot fast correctly at first. Their body is blocking it, so when they go to fast, their sugars just go sky high. It's called immunometabolism. So the first thing that you have to do before that you fast, you have to go through a protocol that helps calm your immune system down. You can use things like methylene blue, you can use LDN, you can use thymosin alpha-1, and then you also want to starve out the immune system because it runs on sugar. So you want to move to carnivore or you want to move to keto, right? And then you have to kind of do these things together. That's why this breakthrough in peptides in immune function is so epically huge. It is going to change everything. That's why semaglutide can be good to use for these people because it can starve out the glucose being dumped by the liver so that the body can actually get into an AMPK fasted state and start eating these cells out of your body, right? And then you can literally reverse the condition by doing it. And we've seen this over and over and over and over and over again. But a lot of people, Casey, if they just tried, if they had like, for people that have long hauler COVID, and they try to just fast, Casey, I've watched women gain 11 pounds not eating food for 7 days, right? So this is a very real thing. I want you guys to understand that what COVID did is cause a bunch of zombie cells in people, okay? I'm going to keep it real simple. And so I want you to know over the next 7 years that millions of people across the world, because of COVID, will end up having rare and unexplained conditions. And the only way to solve it without using immunosuppressants and all of these different agents, right? Are you a believer in IV therapy and HBOT? Yes, I certainly am, Clementine. Oh, but the only thing that's going to be able to fix this is by using immunosuppressant peptides. You can use things like ozone, but it is fasting. Fasting is going to be one of the world's solutions, but they're going to have to work with somebody that can condition their body, like prepping it for a heavy workout, to be able to fast well. That is why the OID and the work that I'm doing in the OID program is so important to what I believe the future of coaching and healing disease. KCR says, I've been struggling with so much belly fat, but I've never had that before, possibly related. 100%. What do you think menopause is, or people that can't lose weight very easily? These cells don't metabolize glucose. They're not producing ATP. They just sit in there dumping inflammation. That's why we have a guarantee, Casey, in our OID program that you have results, and if you don't get them in 12 weeks, we work with you for free till you do. Nobody offers that, by the way. No one. So we guarantee results, or we have to pay the bill. I want you to think about that. So if you're ever interested, send me a message. If you're tired or dealing with that and you want the guarantee that it's going to be done. By the way, Vital Coaching is going to have a bunch of Black Friday sales you guys are not going to want to miss. Just so you guys know, massive sales are coming. So you guys, Black Friday's coming up, and if you guys ever thought about wanting coaching, they're about to do something so ridiculous that it's the best deal that we've ever done. I can't announce it yet, but I will let you guys know next Monday for sure. Next Monday for sure. Because Black Friday's what? After Thanksgiving, right? Yeah, okay, just making sure. Selena, do you think ozone is good for mold detox, or is flush adequate for mycotoxins as well? So Selena, all ozone therapy is basically using oxygen to kill bacteria and to stimulate the immune system. It stimulates the immune system to kick in phase 2 healing factor by using oxygen. It's great. You can use methylene blue to do much the same thing. You can use oxygen chambers to do much the same thing. But by and large, again, the flush and using immune modulating peptides. You don't have to go in. Ozone by itself is not good, meaning that like it'll kind of help. You'll feel worse the first time. Take it a couple times. You got to go a bunch. It's kind of expensive. And if you don't do it with other things, it's not going to work, although ozone is a good thing to do. Over on TikTok, how do you feel about berberine for PCOS? I've done all the tests and work out and eat healthy, but no. I like berberine, but the idea that if you have a PCOS that's weight loss resistance, the idea that berberine's going to help you is a total joke. And anybody who tells you that berberine's going to help doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't work hardcore PCOS cases. What you need to do right now is go check out my team at vitalmed.com, Vital Medical. You need to see my team. If you're not going to work with a coach, which you can with them, but you need to probably start pulsing metformin. Eat carbs, take metformin instant release 500 milligrams 3 times a day, then don't take it for 3 days and don't eat carbs. So you want to rotate back and forth. Meanwhile, you want to take about 75 to 100 milligrams of spirulactone. You're going to really want to increase your water, and you're going to want to probably stimulate insulin for about 3 days. That's why a flush is important. If you're diet adapted, it means adaptive thermogenesis. The first thing that you have to do to metabolize fat is to stimulate insulin, because insulin stimulates leptin. Leptin is the fat-burning hormone. So people think if I just keep eating less, I'm eventually going to lose the weight. No, you're not. Okay? If you keep lowering the calories, you're just going to get adapted. You have to feed up to stimulate the insulin that stimulates the leptin that'll allow you to start dropping weight again. User over on TikTok, you shouldn't be afraid of pulsing metformin, I promise you. It cannot hurt you when you pulse it. And look, she says right now, everybody, just so people on Instagram know, she was saying how she couldn't lose weight, and now she's saying, yes, I was fasting and lowering calories, and it made so much worse. Exactly. I know what I'm talking about. You're walking into a trap, sweetheart. It won't work, and you're going to make it worse, and then you're going to gain a bunch of weight when you go up. Get out of the trap. KCR, carb cycling? Sure. We can call it carb cycling. Yeah. We call it pulsing because carb cycling is more typically when you eat no carbs and only eat carbs like once or twice a week. But yes, carb cycling. Can hormonal acne be controlled naturally with birth control or heavy medication? Without. Yes, 100%. We prove it all the time, but you got to get off your birth control. In fact, do we have that, the guide for that yet, Waleed? I've got a guide for how to come off your birth control, which will help you with your acne. I really recommend people with acne issues need to take a product called Hormone Plus Complete. It's got all the agents in there to help you to deal with it. If you're getting cystic-based acne, one of the easiest things that you can do is get laser hair. I don't care if you've got just peach fuzz. If you get rid of the follicle, then androgens can't build up at the follicle site to create cysts. But if you've got estrogen issues, like little pock marks all over, like more around the chin or on the upper cheek, it looks almost like a perioral dermatitis, then it's an estrogen metabolism issue. And so I recommend a product called EstroCort, and I would either switch to a non-hormonal based birth control, or if you're already off birth control, I highly recommend a product called Estro Factors for that. And then again, don't be afraid of a little bit of glycolic acid on the face or apple cider vinegar and then using coconut oil afterwards, because believe it or not, coconut oil mixes with your sweat to create short-chain fatty acids that acid-loving bacteria like. And that's what you want in your face, acid-loving bacteria, not basic-loving bacteria. Wow, we are just crushing it on here. Carola09 says, my cycle has always been 28 days. I was on the pill for 8 years, and now my cycle is 24 days. Could it be because I was on the pill so long? Any way to extend it to 28 days? Very, very, well, great question. You can absolutely extend your cycle longer. How do you do it? You have to increase estrogen. Estrogen is the number one reason for the length of your cycle, and progesterone. So you can do a quick blood work to see which one's lower. Is your progesterone too low, or is your estrogen too low? But the easiest thing to do is to start eating Mediterranean, right? So start eating more diverse, eat some grains, eat a lot of leafy greens and fruits, right? You can even cycle sync or use seed cycling, right? You can probably take a couple drops of something called Progon B, I'm really big about getting my healthy fats up, particularly my polyunsaturated fats like flaxseed oil. You can use some avocado oil, coconut oil, and that should get your cycle back in no time. Shouldn't worry about it. Adaptogens are really good to manage stress so it doesn't shorten your cycle, like ashwagandha. You know what, Carola, I'm going to help you. You're going to be the winner of another giveaway from New Ethics. A couple things that I want to give you. One is Court Ease to help calm your stress hormones. to try to help your lipid hormones. 2, I'm going to go ahead and I would like to give you, to try to help extend your cycle, our liposomal chasteberry to support progesterone levels. That might do it just enough. If not, there's a product called Fem Estroplex, or increase your healthy organic soy intake, right? So kimchi, right? You can do, your tofu. You can do other, soy-based products that are healthy, and that will help support your estrogen levels. Awesome. Master's Bikini, where we at? All right, reasons for low magnesium. So a lot of times, what we have to understand is that your body stays in a saline state. So saline is basically salt water. Your body is basically almost 1% salt. Salt, and we actually talk about this, but go ahead and, why don't we drop to here? So you have electrolytes. Right? Electrolytes. And it has everything to do with positive and negative ions. Right? Positive and negative ions. And so what controls whether it's positive, negative on the outside of the cell has everything to do with potassium, magnesium, and sodium. Oh, I did that backwards. And sodium. Okay? Now, inside the cell, typically you've got your potassium. And your all right, I'm going to have to figure out how to do this. So maybe we should go wide. Oh, we can't. So try this again. So sodium usually lives on the outside of the cell, but as long as the positive, negative stays balanced, then potassium and magnesium can stay on the inside of the cell. Okay? So a lot of times we have to look at what the balance is of all of this to figure out why our mag isn't getting absorbed. And so if our sodium gets too low, then it kicks out some mag and it kicks out some potassium and water. I know it's terrible. Go ahead and switch back over to the screen. So the first thing that you want to do, if you're having a magnesium issue, is mega load your magnesium. You want a magnesium load with some sodium. Get your sodium up around 3,000 milligrams. Get your magnesium to anywhere from 200 to 600. I recommend using magnesium glycinate. Magnesium glycinate is one of the most easy to take up in the GI tract because it attaches itself to a glycine bond, which is an amino acid that is easy for your body to absorb. Okay? So, but you want to make sure you load sodium. If you get dehydrated and you don't have a balance of 4-to-1 ratio of potassium to sodium, and you're just loading magnesium, but you're keeping sodium low, you're never going to get your magnesium back to where you need it. Because you really need the once you get dehydrated, you really need the sodium to help get the magnesium in the cell, right? So it's really important that you water load. I would go about anywhere from probably 400 to 800 milligrams magnesium glycinate. Meanwhile, I'm taking a couple of electrolytes that have 4-to-1 ratio of sodium to potassium, and I'm loading myself generally with water. And I think that you'll find that you do that for a little while, your magnesium will go up. Eat magnesium-rich foods, and that should really, really help. And those are most of the Mediterranean diet. How do I get sodium? I'm taking magnesium L-threonate. That's great for brain support. Not as really good for absorption, although I do like that product. What can I do about breast pain? If you're getting a lot of breast pain, well, one, obviously, I don't know your age, but if you're getting pains in your breast, you need to go ahead and get them checked for, obviously, lumps. Start to feel around for lumps. Maybe go see your OB, because usually nodules are getting filled out, and that can have a lot to do with progesterone and insulin, right? So you're probably getting too swollen. Now, why would you be getting too swollen? Could have a lot to do with stress and inflammation. Also, it could be because your estrogen-progesterone ratio is getting way off. So for some reason, your progesterone isn't converting. So you're having these big surges around ovulation. Water retention's going up way high. Progesterone's going high. Boobs swell out. And that can certainly cause yourself to have more breast pain. So you want to get estrogen down. A product called EstroCort usually works pretty well. I would suggest that along with Cordy's and getting your water up. Maddie says, what about too much salt? Would that heighten magnesium? Unfortunately, not always. No, it would probably lower magnesium. But to be quite honest with you, it's really hard to take in too much sodium if you're typically active and you drink enough water. I know what people think, that salt is this terrible electrolyte because obese people, when they have it, it gives them high blood pressure. But no, by and large, that's not a problem. You gonna take an interview there?
Well, we could only do it on one.
So on one of them, yeah. Well, listen, everybody, I have had an amazing time. Drop me a question if you want on TikTok, messaging, DM, or on Instagram. I'm gonna go live a bunch more times. All right, yes, everybody send me a message. What type of salt? Well, I like Celtic sea salt, Master Bikini. Go ahead and drop me some questions. I'll go ahead and respond to some of my questions and actually post them. You'll also see them in my stories. I appreciate everybody. I'll go ahead and go live again a couple times more this week. So this isn't the last you'll see me. Appreciate everybody. Enjoy your weekend or your week. Peace.